While the crucifixion was a local event that had to rely on word of mouth and published mediums to spread abroad, the Gospel account also relates that a powerful earthquake and the darkening of the sun occurred at the death of Jesus. A review of this evidence is as controversial as the historicity of Christ. The Gospel account relates, quote, "Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour." Unquote. This is a 3-hour period, a duration that completely rules out an ordinary eclipse, which lasts only minutes. This would require a large celestial object or thick dust cloud to transmit between Earth and the Sun, immersing the Earth in shadow. A simple local transit casting part of the Earth in shadow is also ruled out because of the 3-hour duration. The darkening of the sun was widely regarded by many nations in antiquity as the appearance of the phoenix, a great celestial bird in the heavens that flew into the sun, darkening it for a length of time before being reborn, emerging out of transit, freeing the sun. The Roman historian Tacitus lived closest to this time, within a decade or so, and he wrote that Phoenix appeared in what translates as the year 35 AD. However, translator and antiquarian Michael Grant, a prolific writer in histories, remarks that Tacitus was 2 years off from all other chroniclers. This refers to 33 AD and infers that the sun darkening was widely published in antiquity. The problem scholars have, and it is a legitimate one, is that it can be shown that regarding Jesus the writings of Tacitus had once been tampered with, as will be shown. Another red flag to the historians is the fact that the historians alive in that time, in that year, Flavius Josephus and Philo, both men writing extensive histories covering everything relative to the Jewish world at the time, but neither man recorded any darkening of the sun or earthquake for 33 AD. Neither did Pliny the Elder or Seneca, as noted by the historian Hazelrig. Both Pliny and Seneca lived at this time, and both men made a habit of recording all the known accounts of seismic activity and unusual phenomena. Hazelrig wrote, quote, "Nowhere do they mention the miraculous darkness which is said to have overspread the earth at the crucifixion. Neither do they make mention anywhere in their voluminous text of a man named Jesus." Unquote. As will be shown, the 4 Gospels that relate these events do not date any earlier than 160 AD. Before the appearance of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there was a Gospel in existence called the Gospel of Marcion, an account of Jesus totally devoid of the fantastic that is reviewed under 144 AD. This appears to be the oldest known Gospel account, and in it we find that at the death of Jesus the sun was darkened. The miraculous birth, the Virgin Mother, miracles, the 3 days dead and resurrection and ascension into heaven, laden in the 4 Gospels, do not appear in the Gospel of Marcion, so the reference to the sun darkening here bears significance. In about 220 AD, almost 190 years after the events, Julius Africanus wrote that a non-Christian historian named Thallus in the year 52 AD, what translates as the year 52, had written that a fearful darkness and earthquake occurred over Judea. We have no surviving writings by this Thallus. In about 230 AD, Origen of Adamantius, a scholar of Alexandria and Christian historian, in Contra Celsum, wrote, quote, "But of the eclipse, which happened in the time of Tiberius, in whose reign Jesus was crucified, and of the great earthquakes which were at the time, Phlegon writes in the 13th, or as I think, the 14th book of the Chronicles." Unquote. The purpose of Origen's book was to argue against an enemy of the Church, Celsus, who, though against Christianity, nonetheless still recorded the sun darkening and earthquakes. Celsus was quoted by Rabbi Akiba, who wrote that a dark mist obscured the sun and the earth quaked. Phlegon was an historian and freedman of Hadrian, who wrote his works about 150 AD, about 120 years after crucifixion, books allegedly read by Vopiscus. Phlegon's account has been attacked by scholars for the known fact that no eclipses occurred at that time in 33 AD, no one considering that a dust cloud of gigantic object transited casting the world in shadow. We do not have any surviving copy of Phlegon's book. About 100 years after Origen, the church father and historian Eusebius also wrote about Phlegon's account. Eusebius wrote that Christ was crucified in the 19th year of Tiberius Caesar. This was exactly 33 AD. This is also the date provided by Phlegon according to Eusebius, quoting Phlegon's book Olympiads, a non-Christian chronology. In the 13th book of Olympiads, according to Eusebius, it reads, "In the 4th year of the 202nd Olympiad, there was an eclipse of the sun, the greatest of any known before, and there was a great earthquake in Bithynia, which overturned many houses in Nice." Also about 230 AD, Tertullian wrote that a record of the world portent of the sun darkening and the earthquakes was preserved in the archives of Rome. This record was also known to Justin Martyr, Eusebius, and Jerome, who all claimed that Pontius Pilate wrote a record of the event. The Roman Church claims that this record was preserved as Pilate's report to Tiberius Caesar, which reads, "And when he was hanged, supernatural signs appeared, and in the judgment of the philosophers menaced the whole world with ruin. There was darkness over the whole world, and the sun was obscured half a day, and the stars appeared, but no lustre was seen in them, and the moon lost its brightness, as though tinged with blood, and the terror of the earthquake continued from the 6th hour of the preparation to the 9th hour. The sun was altogether hidden, and the sky appeared dark while it was yet day. Wherefore, I suppose, your Excellency is not unaware that in all the world they lighted their lamps from the 6th hour unto evening, and the moon, which was like blood, did not shine all night long, although it was at the full. So dreadful were the signs that men saw both in the heavens and on the earth, that Dionysius the Areopagite is reported as saying, quote, 'Either the author of nature is suffering or the universe is falling apart.' Unquote. This account claims that it was sent to Rome and read before the Senate. Scholars are well in agreement that the document is a forgery. In about 327 AD, in Against the Heathen, the historian Arnobius wrote, quote, 'An earthquake shook the world, the sea was heaved up from its depths, the heaven was shrouded in darkness, the sun's fiery blaze was checked, and his heat became moderate. For what else could occur when he was discovered to be God, who heretofore was reckoned one of us?' Unquote. Arnobius was formerly an enemy of the Church, who had converted and then wrote 7 books against the pagans. Over 380 years after 33 AD, about 415 AD, Augustine of Hippo wrote in his celebrated City of God concerning the crucifixion of Jesus. The crime was indicated by this deprivation of the sun's light, as in truth was the case when the Lord was crucified through the cruelty and impiety of the Jews. For it is sufficiently demonstrated that this latter obscuration of the sun did not occur by the natural laws of the heavenly bodies, because it was then the Jewish Passover, which is held only at the full moon. Scholars are at variance over these accounts because they were all recorded by Christian historians. The non-Christian sources, Thallus, Phlegon, are only preserved by Christian historians, and the original works cannot be verified. Tacitus remains the best evidence, but Christian interpolation has already been documented in his writings, as will be shown. Even the relatively modern Book of Mormon continues to relate the same event. The Book of Mormon purports to be a translation of ancient records copied off golden plates, c. 498 BC, concerning the wanderings of ancient Israelites into early America. In 3 Nephi, and dated by Mormon scholars at 34 AD, we read that a terrible catastrophe occurred in the Americas of devastating winds, a storm, unusual lightning never before seen, earthquakes, the sinking of cities, altered landscapes, great depopulations followed by a vast darkness like a mist that hid the sun, moon, and stars, lasting 3 days.